Good evening, everyone. First off, I want to thank the grace of heaven and the virtues of the masters, the mercy of the grand predecessor, transmitting masters, lecturers, temple hosts, and everyone here today for this opportunity to talk about the purpose of Dao. Actually, I gave this topic like about 2 years ago. It was quite a bit longer, so this is kind of condensed. Try to condense this into one session here. All right. So yeah, to cultivate Dao, right, we have to know the purpose of Dao, right? If we don't know the purpose of Dao, basically we're just cultivating and practicing blindly without a real goal, right? And so you can say it can be easy to stray from the proper Dao path, right? Because you might just go through kind of the motions, so to speak, of the practice, but not knowing what it's for or why we're doing it or how to do it properly. Okay, perhaps because there's kind of like the internal and external aspects, and we may not truly understand the internal aspects, such as our what we call our true nature, our Buddha nature, right, our self nature. Okay, the true self. Right. So here, the purpose of Dao is, as passed down through the ages, is to let people manifest their conscience, right? Become aware or awakened and know self-restraint so that their conduct and character can conform to the original purpose of Dao in order to achieve the ultimate goal of transcendence or spiritual liberation. We need to manifest our conscience. Everyone has a conscience. Conscience is a part of our being, our what we call the Buddha nature or the true nature, our essence. Okay, so this sometimes we say that is like the voice of God right within us. Okay, so it kind of lets us know what's right and wrong, and to know what to do things, what is proper. So we have to become, more aware and awakened about that, about our, realizing our true nature, our Buddha nature, our conscience, that we have that conscience. And with that conscience, I guess you can say, then we will know self-restraint. So we won't do things, based on selfish desires or motivations to do things, right, that are not good for others. Okay, so we have to know, and of course, all of the practices includes things like you can say they're like precepts or rules and regulations, right, to help us guide us in that respect. Now, the ultimate goal, it says, right, is to achieve transcendence or spiritual liberation. But actually, but that's achieved. You can say that that's achieved after, at the end of this life, okay, at the end of this life. But there's actually another goal while we are living here, right? And it's in that we need to achieve during life, okay, during life. And it's not, so this is, we talk about this a lot when we say, oh, you receive Dao and you cultivate, and this is what what we can gain or achieve is transcendence. But actually, while we're still here, since, that's we need to, there's another goal. Okay. So that's part of this, the purpose of Dao that we're talking about today. All right. So we'll be talking about. The thing is, today in education, we don't really learn things about the morality, I guess the moral aspects, moral principles. We aren't taught that in schools. Okay. And so unfortunately, science today, it's the age of science and everything is based on science. And but science does not mean that should not be, you could say, moral ethics, right? These are two different things. It's not like one or the other. But unfortunately, society is, because it's secular society, so it's mostly about just the facts, science, and there's doesn't really teach us anything about how to be a really good person, right? A moral, upstanding person, and so that's kind of lacking, and so that's why we have, I guess you say, we have religions, religious teachings, and also, of course, the Tao. Okay, to kind of guide us back onto that right track there, the moral, the moral path. Okay, so this purpose, you can say it's also, okay, so yeah, we call it the purpose of Dao, this Dao之宗旨, okay, but you can say it's also the essence of Dao, or the objective or the aim of Dao. Also, you can say it's a mission of Dao, right? So this was written, it came from our holy teachers, Sijun and Sumu, all right? They're the 18th patriarch and matriarch in the recent Dao lineage. And, they had the heavens mandate to create this, basically it's a blueprint, it's like a plan for this world harmony in this white era, right? We live in this white era right now. So the white era started with our 17th patriarch. Okay, so it's within the past 100 years that this kind of started, and so we are in this time period called the white era, and this world harmony is, well, it's to be achieved during this white era. Now, of course, I mean, when that happens, well, that depends. Okay, can't make any predictions about that. Right? But okay, so what it does give us is this direction for cultivation and practice in our daily life. Okay, and to achieve the Tao of heaven by achieving the Tao of humanity. So yeah, we say the Tao. I mean, the Tao you can say it's the Tao of heaven as the Tao of humanity. Right, we just say the Tao. Tao kind of is all encompassing. The Tao of heaven is those principles, those true principles of Tao. Okay, and we achieve that actually through the Tao of humanity, which is, you can say, then it's at the lower level, at the human level. It's talking about, you can say those virtues, the morality, okay, aspect, and how we conduct ourselves as human beings, right? And then also, it's the other purpose. Well, I guess you can say part of the purpose of the Tao is to fulfill Maitreya Buddha's vow to create a pure land on earth. Right, so that's his vow when he returns to this world, that he will preside over this pure land, or you can say it's like, it's that world of harmony. Okay. Now, an important point to make is that Tao is cultivation and practice, right? It's not idle talk, right? So we talk we talk about it a lot, but unless we do the practice, then we're not really I mean, that's not the Tao. Okay. Now, so to get up and to take action is better than to sit and talk. I guess there's a kind of a saying there that it's better to rather than, so we don't talk about these things about the Tao or the cultivation in terms of theory, just theory. It's not just theory, or it's just not just some knowledge or intellectual pursuit. It's actually something to be practiced, right? So we must take concrete actions to cultivate, to practice, and to participate. So participating in the affairs of the Tao. So I say cultivate while participating and participate while cultivating. So it's basically, you can think of it as participating as being the external aspect and cultivating as the internal aspect, and that you do both at the same time. Whereas in the past, in the distant past, people cultivated internally for the most part, and maybe you can do external things, but it's not. Usually they didn't do both, okay? So, but we're in this white era. This is like the last this is the period of universal salvation. So it's the final period, the period where we have all these calamities and disasters happening. So that's why things we have to speed up, and we have to cultivate both internal and externally. So the Tao is the realization of harmony. All right. So it's also the realization of Confucius's ideal of world harmony, right? The Li Yin Da Tong. Okay. So you can say that that's the goal of achieving a harmonious society. Right. So this is basically, so the practice and the cultivation of Tao is not really about becoming a Buddha in the afterlife, right? It's about practicing the way of the Bodhisattva to save sentient beings in this world and to pave the way for the world of harmony. All right, so let's talk about what this world of harmony is, this ideal of world harmony that Confucius talks about. All right, so so what it is, okay, so it's, you can say it's like a goal, right? This is a goal or vision statement, right? Describing an ideal society, a utopia, or a paradise. So it starts off, when the perfect order prevails, the world is like a home shared by all. Well, that is, I'll explain what this perfect order means, okay? But so if this world, if everyone follows this, you can say this order, okay? Everything is in order. In other words, it's not disorderly, it's not chaotic, right? Then the world, it becomes like a home, okay? So it's like everyone is like family, all right? We all live in this, the global village, and we all have shared that same, you can say, same interests, or at least same values, okay? And so, it would become a peaceful world, right? Now, okay, so this is, you can say this first statement is actually, this is kind of the key, and then the rest of it is kind of describing what that world is like. So Confucius, he says, virtuous and worthy men are elected to public office, and capable men hold posts of gainful employment in society. So, you can contrast what you see here today with the world as we see it today. Okay, so who's all the politicians, whatever, are they really virtuous and worthy? That's a big question, right? And so so let's talk about employment. Okay, everyone who people who are capable of doing things, right? Then they have jobs, they have work to do. Okay. Peace and trust among all men are the maxims of living. So this is kind of a given that everyone lives in peace. They trust each other, right? So there would be no conflict. All men love and respect their parents and children, as well as the parents and children of others. So again, so it's like, so there's no distinction or differentiation, right? Saying, oh, this is my family, and then that's your family, and then we have different interests and whatnot. So there's love and respect for everyone. All right. The aged are cared for. Okay. Again, today is, we see a lot of the aged seniors, they're not being cared for. Adults have employment. Okay, so everyone who needs work can work. The young are well nourished and educated, and widowers, the handicapped, and those who find themselves alone are all cared for. So no one is really truly alone. Those who've even lost their families, they'll be cared for. Okay, so this obviously, Confucius is not in this statement, this ideal world harmony. He's not saying how this is done. Okay, it's just that in such a society, they will be taken care of. Okay, every man and woman has an appropriate duty to perform within family and society. Okay, so basically everyone knows their roles. within family and society, that they perform their part, their role accordingly. A sense of sharing displaces the effects of selfishness and materialism. Yeah, so everyone, they're no longer selfish. Okay, they're no longer selfish. They basically realize that there is, everyone works towards a greater good. Okay, the good for others, good for all. All right. So, and there, because today, it's all about materialism, about, more money, more things. It's because of that we have all these problems, actually, whether it's wars or conflict, among people, within society, that all these problems come about because of that, because this is all, I mean, it's not really who we are. Okay, as humans, we are not, that is not us. Okay, this materialism is not, that's not it. Okay, that's the selfishness. That's not how we really are. That's not our true nature. All right, so that's not how we should be. So this is kind of, we're going back, restore our true nature. When we follow our true nature, then, we're no longer selfish, and we're no longer pursuing these material things that cause all those problems. And devotion, there's a devotion to public duty. That leaves no room for idleness. So people have a sense of responsibility that, they do whatever it needs to be done. Intrigues and conniving are ill-gotten gains are unknown. So no one's going to be scheming because why? Because there's no more desire, right? Desire for things, those things. People aren't, it's because that's why I said people steal, right? They rob because they have those desires for those things. And, they have the misplaced, the idea that, those things are very valuable, and that's more valuable than even human lives or other lives, or even relationships. Okay, so that's all wrong. That's all backwards, upside down. Villains such as thieves and robbers do not exist. Okay, the door to every home need never be locked by day or night. Okay, so so it'd be a safe and secure environment, a society where we don't have to fear, if there's no fear of being robbed or things like that. Okay, so these are the characteristics of an ideal world, the Commonwealth state. So that's what Confucius is saying, right? So the Commonwealth state, right? That's one where you can say the government is for the welfare and good of all the people and it's by all the people. Okay. So note that this vision of an ideal society does not say everyone will have lots of money and material things, right? So in fact, it's saying there's no materialism. So, and money is also material. So it's not about that, right? People do things for the greater good, right? And without any selfish motives and desires. So people also have this sense of responsibility towards each other and towards the whole society. So that's how this ideal, this world of harmony is kind of will be, right? So okay. Then okay. Here, so it's pretty straightforward, right? The statement is pretty straightforward. It's a straightforward vision of this world. Of course, it's it doesn't go into the details about how you what to do exactly. Okay, but actually, as I mentioned earlier, right? There's what's the most important point, right? It's that first line. Right, when it says when the perfect order prevails. Okay, So, and the world is like a home shared by all, right? So the key is that statement and the first phrase, when the perfect order prevails, right? You can say it's an underlying assumption and the foundation for achieving that goal, right? In other words, for there to be world harmony as described in the rest of the statement, a perfect order must prevail. Prevailing means, to overcome like the current societal norms and, because it becomes commonplace, right, in society. So what is this perfect order? It means we follow our conscience, follow our true nature or Buddha nature, follow the true principles of Dao, right? The perfect order is perfect harmony, right? The rest of the statement just describes the result of having this perfect order among people and society. Okay. So, the world harmony is not achieved by material wealth, and the result does not necessarily give us material wealth. Again, people are content, so there's no need to be greedy and people won't be greedy to try to get more than really what they need. It talks about duty, responsibility, trust, love, caring, health, security, and goodwill, right? So aren't these the characteristics of a society that everyone wishes to live in? I think so. I mean, so, once, when we read that, we say, yeah, of course, everyone would want to live in such a society. So how do we achieve that, ideal society then? When we look at the past and current political systems of governance, they've failed to achieve it so far, right? On one end of the spectrum, you have like individual freedom and capitalism, right? But and then on the other hand, you have like government that kind of dictates everything, what everyone should do. But neither of these types of systems, they work. Neither of them work, right? Because one is based on kind of, you can say, selfish freedom, and the other one is on compulsion, forcing people to do things a certain way, right? They both try to achieve the ideal state through external means. And that's the problem, okay? That you can't have a lasting solution based on external means, right? Because the external means, external environment can change, okay? And it's not lasting. So the Tao addresses this by starting at the root or the source, right? The individual conscience and moral character. When people act according to Tao, there is no such thing as freedom or enslavement, right? Government does not have to force the people to do or not to do, because people will naturally do what is proper and right according to their conscience. This is the way, or the Tao of humanity, okay? And then, the definition of humanity means humaneness, consideration for others. You can say it's our conscience, okay? So that is really the true way to achieve that. All right, so now let's talk about the purpose of the Tao then. Okay, so this is, again, I'll go through this. We'll just read through this and then go into detail afterwards. All right, so it starts off to respect heaven and earth. So this, you can say this purpose of Dao is kind of the mission statement, whereas the world ideal of world harmony is more of like a goal or vision statement. That's the vision of what it's like, and this is how we get there. Okay, so the mission statement, yeah, this is how we get there, how we achieve that world of harmony. So it's the blueprint, right, to achieve that perfect order. So the first two lines here, to respect heaven and earth and to follow the ways of the saintly, these are actually the most important. So just like in the ideal of world harmony, the first line is the most important. And these two are also the most important. Okay. So if we truly can realize the importance and put it into practice, the rest of the mission, right, the rest of these statements will follow naturally, right? Okay. Right. So, okay. So, yeah, again, I'll try to talk a little bit more in more detail about each of these. So then it goes on to say, to love all nations and act with loyalty, to have a sincere character and to esteem the proper behavior. Okay, to be filial towards parents, to honor, respect, and uphold teachers and elders, to trust and be trustworthy of friends. Actually, so you can see actually from it kind of goes from the big, the high level or the big to and then to more specific things. Okay, so basically, starting like with this fifth line about to be filial towards parents and then going on, it's kind of more towards specific people in our lives, right? That are important to us. So it starts with parents being, parents are really the most important people in our lives, actually, because they gave us birth and they raised us. And then next you have like teachers and elders. Of course, parents are also our elders, but then this is kind of more general. And then also then it widens that circle to talk about include our friends, okay? Then to our neighbors, right? So we have to be harmonious with our neighbors. And then it says, to transform evil into good. Yeah, that's part of the. You can say that. I guess in all religious teachings, they talk about that. To overcome the evil, and transform it into good. Okay. To elucidate, which means to understand, to explain and understand the 5 human relationships and the 8 cardinal virtues. Again, I'll talk about explain these things in a bit. To spread the profound truth of the masters of the 5 religions, to scrupulously abide by the 4 pillars or bonds of social conduct, the 3 cardinal guides, and 5 constant virtues. So again, see, these are all talking about like the moral, our moral character, right? How we should, our moral conduct and our virtues. Okay, to purify the heart and mind and wash away our anxieties, to utilize the false forms to cultivate the true, or the true self. Okay. To restore oneself to its original natural state, to manifest the highest compassion of one's conscience and virtue, to establish oneself and help others to establish themselves. Okay. And then to achieve and help others to achieve, to bring peacefulness into the world, to transform human hearts into good, to bring about world unity and harmony. Okay. So this is it. The purpose of Dao, which is those statements there, is the White Era mission to fulfill Maitreya Buddha's vow to create a pure land and achieve the vision of the Confucian ideal of world harmony. So these are all, they're all related. They're all, and so the purpose of Dao, this is a White Era, you can say a mission, okay, of the White Era, the time that we're living in. Okay, in the past, you can say that didn't really exist, at least not in this way, because the timing, it was not right yet. It's only in the White Era that we can actually kind of fulfill this purpose. Okay, and then also because there's also Maitreya's vow and also to fulfill that vow. Okay. All right. Now talking about kind of like you can say the spirit of this, what this is about. Okay. To have conviction in the Buddha nature and conscience as the master of our life, right? So most people, they don't know that they have that Buddha nature. That's the Buddha within us, okay? That potential, or you can say potential Buddha, right? But that we have to realize that we should rely on that, okay? That should guide us. That should be the master, okay? We should listen to that. And, the conscience comes from there, right? So, people, we have to receive the Dao, right? We have to understand the Dao. We have to study the true principles and put those principles into practice. Okay. And when we do that and we realize it, we understand, we realize, then we're actually, following our Buddha nature and following our conscience. To establish foundation in moral truth and principles. Okay, so the people must cultivate and practice Dao, participate in the Dao, vary sentient beings so that they can give back to society, benefit sentient beings, and have deep empathy and compassion for all the suffering of others. So that's why I mentioned something about Bodhisattva. So we are, you can say, trying to be, we are cultivating the path of Bodhisattvas and Buddhas, okay, to help other sentient beings. Obviously, we're helping ourselves at the same time. Okay, now, okay, so yeah, that's all right. So the essence of the spirit is in the truth or the true principles and clarifying the perspective. Okay, so yeah, this is okay. The Holy Matriarch, 18th Matriarch, right? So she said, the many religions of the world each have their own way and method of perception and understanding of the truth, but fundamentally the truth or the true principles are at the essence of all religions. Yeah, so, even though, so we have this purpose of Tao, right? Religions, they generally focus on the afterlife, right? Okay, so, just be a good person and you can go to heaven, right? But so the purpose of Tao, right, is not talking about the afterlife. It's about the here and now, what we can achieve in this world, right? So that's kind of the main focus. But our matriarch saying that, all religions, they have that original truth, the truth of the Tao. It's just that we don't see it now. Okay, it's kind of it's been obscured, you can say, because the religions, you could say, in the practice and the teachings have been focused more on maybe the forms instead, okay, of that truth, right? So the purpose of Tao, from this perspective, I guess, it's about the truth, the true principles, following the conscience, right? It's not about belief, ideology, or exclusivity, right? The mission has nothing to do with religion, or politics. Okay, so if you remember what was in the stated purpose of the Tao, it doesn't say anything about ideology or anything like that. Okay. Okay. Now we are in a time when religion has lost its essence. All right. And its true purpose, right? During the White Era, Tao will complete or fulfill the original true purpose of religions. Okay, so of course, the original purpose of religions is, you can say, it's the same as the Tao, but unfortunately, it's not able to be fulfilled or achieved, and that's why we have the Tao. Okay. Here it says, says oneness or truth gives rise to all things, and all things must return to that oneness or truth. So it's the same thing, that oneness or truth is the Tao, right? Religions, they originate in the Tao, but their essence is the truth, but they also eventually must return to that truth, because now they've kind of deviated from the truth. Like I said, it's kind of more, although they're spiritual, but they're kind of lacking or missing a lot of the truth, okay, and it's more maybe focused on the forms. All right, so the essence of religion is truth, and its substance, truth is in the purpose of the Tao, right, which is the original power and intent of religion. The purpose of Tao is the essential spirit and function of all religious traditions. Right, teaching and Tao combine as one and complete that function. Okay. All right. So now here we say, okay, the practice of the White Era and purpose of Tao is for the peaceful acceptance of all religions, right? Universal salvation of the three realms. awakening to the true nature and to transcend birth and death, right? Basically, okay, so the universal salvation of three realms, right? Universal salvation means, okay, not only that humans can cultivate and transcend this life and death cycle, but also the you can say our ancestors, okay, they can do the same, right? And the beings, the spiritual beings of within the other in the spiritual realms can also do the same. The great compassion and mercy for all, which is you can say it's equanimity, right, is the standard for white era cultivators, right? So that's what Buddha was espousing about, equanimity, right, is to treat everyone equally, treat all equally. And so you can say that we do that. We can do that through compassion, mercy, and we don't judge others, right? And that is, very important aspect of our practice today. And Dao brings people of all faiths to the truth. So again, it's not about Dao as a separate religion. It's not. Dao is bringing, it can be people of any faith to the original truth. All right. Okay. So this phrase here, 平收, right? 平收万教. Okay. So there may be some misunderstanding about that. I mean, because some people say that, that means that all religions must return to the Tao, okay, or be, subjugated, come under the Tao. Okay, well, it's not really. It's not about, respecting only oneself or one's beliefs or ideologies, right? Let alone rejecting or attacking others. Okay, but it is to let sentient beings equally recognize the truth. Right? Therefore, we must not misunderstand this phrase to mean, that all religions have to come under the Tao. That eventually, I mean, so, but on the contrary, it's the Tao brings people of all faiths to that truth. Okay. All right, so now we get into the actual. All right, so I'm gonna go through this kind of quickly, hopefully. So he's kind of like phrase by phrase here. So the first, again, which I said was the most important, says Jing Tian Di. Okay, actually, it's these two. Okay, kind of go together. All right, but here Jing Tian Di means to respect heaven and earth. Right, to respect the creator of the heavens and earth, admiring the vastness and brilliance of the heavens, and emulate the great capacity and tolerance of the earth. It's a kind of gratitude, if you will. Okay, without the heavens above and the earth below, we could not exist. Right, the ancient people knew this, right? Which is kind of why they worshipped heaven and earth. But we should learn from and emulate the capacity of the heavens to tolerate what people cannot tolerate, and learn the accommodation of the earth, right? So we are, you can say, kind of a microcosm of the macrocosmos of everything. Okay, so now here I also say, fear God or conscience and fear karma, right? So this, in religions, they kind of try to instill the fear of God in people, right? I mean, we don't do that, but but we ourselves should know that. Okay, so we must have fear in our heart, right, when we do anything, because God is within each of us. That is you can say the Tao heart and mind, the Buddha nature, our conscience, right? Therefore, God and the divinities can inspect our hearts and minds and monitor our conduct constantly and everywhere, right? So nothing escapes them. So if we don't want God or our conscience from knowing about something, then we shouldn't do it, because no matter what we do, our conscience and God will know about it, right? Therefore, okay, so so you could say that that's called God-fearing. Yeah, we should be God-fearing. Now, it doesn't mean that we fear an external God. All right, God is already within us, right, as our conscience. And if we act against our conscience, then we create karma, which will result in the appropriate karmic retribution. Okay, so we have to realize that karma is a result of doing things and there's this universal law of cause and effect, and so we plant the seeds of karma, and we will eventually pay for it. Okay, so we can't get away with things, right? So we should definitely remember that and be mindful of that. Okay. Now, and then so basically, this is also saying, besides respecting heaven and earth, okay, is respecting one's own Buddha nature and conscience as well. Okay, so because heaven and earth really represents, you can say represents God, represents Tao. Okay, we're not really respecting these physical forms. Okay, but being been born in this world, right? People have lost their original nature. They've forgotten where they came from, and they suffer through the cycle of birth and death. God is constantly concerned and descended this great Tao to save sentient beings so they can follow the bright path and return to their original nature. Therefore, those who respect and honor God are expressing their sincerity and repaying the grace of having been saved and ferried by others. Okay. So, having received the Tao, we should be grateful, and we should kind of try to repay that grace by helping others. Again, it's kind of like paying it forward, to help. When we get help, receive that grace, we should also try to help others, have others receive that grace, right? Okay, and then so the other half is Li XinMin. Okay, so to follow the ways of saintly, all right, to learn from and emulate the virtues of the divinities. You can say God, enlightened beings, spiritual nature. Okay, so and follow the spirit of their cultivation in a practical way. Right, people originally care about others. This comes from the original nature, the Tao heart. Right, so now what we want to do is respect and revere the divinities without seeking blessings or longevity or whatever. Okay, we're not looking to get anything from them, right? But we really, want to learn from them and emulate their virtues, right? Learn to be like them. Okay, this. Well, okay, I don't really have time to. But basically. Okay, so it's also, you can say, to follow our conscience, right? The Tao heart mind is also the conscience before the universe was created. Only God and Tao existed, right? After humans came about, the Tao heart is God, right? So the Tao heart is the divinity of heaven and earth. And to follow the requirement of the Tao heart is to revere the divinities of heaven and earth. Right? So note that we are not treating the Tao heart as the object of reverence, but it is not to cover up the Tao heart, right? We should reveal the Tao heart, reveal our conscience, right? Through our moral conduct and our moral conduct. Okay, so the next, still on there. This is the most important one. So it's because in Chinese is Jing Tiandi, right? Jing means to respect or honor, right? So it's the true intention of the original heart. Right. Therefore, the saying, right, okay, so respect is sincerity, right? 诚心正, okay, the sincere heart is upright. 天地生明, okay, so 天地, right, this first part, 天地, and then 生明, right? It kind of refers to the one and only God of all creation, or the Tao. In the Doctrine of the Mean, it says, what heaven has conferred is the self or true nature. In accordance with this true nature is the Tao, or the way, and cultivation of this Tao is the practice. Okay. So the perfect order, right, that Confucius talks about, that perfect order prevails when we realize this and follow our true nature, right? We follow the true principles of Tao and follow our conscience in putting the principles into practice. Okay. Now, therefore, right, respecting the saints and sages is actually paying reverence to the one and only, supreme God, or Tao. Paying reverence to God is not just in the temple proprieties, but even more so in daily life through sincerity, magnanimity, diligence of work, and love among friends. Right? When sincerity and respect manifest from the original heart, this behavior is naturally consistent with propriety. Okay, so that's yeah. So it's not just, it's in everyday life. Okay, so these things. So it's not just you go to a temple to worship. No, it's expressed, manifested in everyday life. So therefore the core principle of the purpose of Dao is to respect heaven and earth. And when we follow the ways of the saintly, we can nurture that respect for heaven and earth. So we can constantly participate in temple proprieties and activities to nurture and maintain that respect, to treat people and matters in daily life with a sincere and respectful heart is to follow the ways of saintly, right? When we respect the Buddha, we also respect the Buddha within, right? So that's our Buddha nature or the conscience. Okay, so this is actually similar to the first of the 15 temple rules and regulations. Okay, but now, okay, so then the second one, the purpose of Dao says, 爱国重视. Okay, so these are two different things here. So it's to love all nations and then also to act with loyalty, right? So it says, we love our family, friends, home, neighbors, etc. Right? This expansion of the warm-heartedness is the basic work of loving the world. The earth is a village shared by all. In order to ferry and transform the world, we must take it to heart and love oneself and all sentient beings, because we do not carry the distinction of nationality or race. When we pioneer Dao, whatever country we are in, we can love that country and its people. Right? So this, the idea of equanimity, right, is that all are equal. Right? So there should be no differentiation and discrimination. If we treated all nations, societies, and communities as equals and with love, then why would there be any conflict? There wouldn't be, right? We would all be in harmony. Yeah, and then so this kind of like to act with loyalty, right, is to be dedicated and devoted to one's duty, to take responsibility and fulfill one's work. Okay, so yeah, okay, this basically, so this, yeah, we have to be loyal. So you could say loyalty, right? Sometimes we think of it, oh, okay, we can be loyal to the country, right? So and also loyal to friends, loyal to, et cetera, loyal to your employer, all sorts of different loyalties. Loyal to, your spouse, right? That's fidelity, right? So these are all important characteristics. Okay, so we say loyalty, right? So loyalties in all ways. Okay. And so you could say loyalty involves also, there's sincerity and respect and fulfilling our duties and responsibilities, right? Okay. The next one is, all right, 敦品从理. Okay, so to have a sincere character and to esteem the proper behavior, right? This 敦品 is having a genuine, honest, sincere, moral character. Okay, to supervise one's moral integrity and conduct. If we are genuinely sincere, right, then we will naturally follow our conscience and implement the true principles of Dao, the so-called Dao of heaven, implemented through the Dao of humanity, and it's reflected in our proper conduct. Okay. Right. So yeah, holy teacher says, the way to cultivate Dao is to cut off inner desires and work hard to remove the bad and increase the moral thoughts and conduct. Then, having achieved the perfection of merits, naturally the Buddha nature reveals and the natural innocence manifests. Right. So, therefore, when we behave properly, you can say good behavior, good habits, moral behavior, then our conduct will be good, honest, and kind, right? We treat others and deal with matters without going against the conscience. Okay, so yeah, but it seems like because we have these, you can say, bad habits, bad temperament, all these things, bad attitudes, mindsets, we have to kind of work to get rid of those things. And, again, also at the same time, cut off those desires that maybe kind of magnify those bad traits, okay, those bad characteristics. So try to get rid of those, and then what's left is actually, the our Buddha nature. Okay, in the end, if everything else we get rid of that shouldn't be there, we're just left with that Buddha nature, and it manifests naturally. All right, so after entering the path of Tao, right, first thing is that we must learn is the Lijie, which is proprieties, the proprieties of paying reverence to the divinities and etiquette in dealing with others. As long as we can esteem the proper behavior and strive for everyday conduct to conform to propriety, then the country and society will naturally be stable and harmonious. Okay, so these things, they kind of follow. All right, let me see, is there, oh, okay, yeah, so like specifically, we talk about what's proper, right? Confucius says, do not look at what is improper, listen to what is improper, speak what is improper, or do what is improper. Okay, so we have to know, what's proper, what's not, and don't do those things that are improper. In the temple rules and regulations, Holy Teacher keeps emphasizing 诚敬之心, okay, the sincerity, honesty, respect, and being, the cautious. Okay. So that's unfortunately I don't have much time here, so I'm gonna have to gonna jump through these but I mean, basically, the most important ones you can say are at the beginning, and it gets so like filial piety. Okay, this one, 孝父母, right? You have to be filial towards parents. Filial piety is the foremost among all good deeds, right? Holy Teacher says, in the human world, filial piety and love and respect for one's elders is the foundation. So yeah, that's kind of why it's kind of listed first as the kind of the first specific action directed at certain people, because it is the most important virtuous conduct, and our parents are also the most important people in our lives. And unfortunately, yeah, today, again, I think people's values are, they're upside down, they're everywhere but right. Okay. It's, things are chaotic. So that's why we have too many problems in society. And, you try to address them through policy and these other things, that doesn't work because they're not addressing getting to the root of the problem. Okay. Which is, again, going back to the moral, you can say moral education and the moral character. Okay. So cultivate Tao to honor one's parents. The spirit of filial piety is the same whether parents are living or deceased. Yeah, I mean, we should do our best. Maybe we can't serve our parents if they're not living, if they're deceased, but we can still, as long as we cultivate ourselves well, right? Practice the Tao, cultivate, then we are still honoring them. Okay, right, and we are helping them as well. So, and then also, in terms of, we have physical parents, but we also have our spiritual mother, say God, Lao Mu, right? So we also be filial to our spiritual mother, which means trying to save. So that's why we have to become like bodhisattvas to save our brothers and sisters, our spiritual brothers and sisters, from suffering. Then, okay, the next one, 重师尊. Okay, so this to honor, respect, and uphold teachers and elders. As far as Tao cultivation is concerned, right? This means advocating a noble and virtuous character. Right, what we respect is the unshakable true principles, not necessarily a particular person. So it's, we respect people, but again, people, and we respect their position, right? It's just like, people their character is not perfect. So we shouldn't kind of look at it or be discouraged by that, but, we should still respect and not be put off by people's conduct. Okay. So this is similar to kind of like this 众圣轻凡, which is emphasize the holy over the mundane, which is, that's you can say that's part of the vow. Okay, one of the vows that, like for example, in the Dharma class, we make this vow. Okay. Now, since ancient times, right, the Chinese appreciated 5 graces. Okay, so yeah, so the teachers are very important, especially we're talking about now spiritual teachers or holy teachers. Okay, and that's we must not forget. Okay, so that's something that we need to always keep in mind. Okay, so then the next comes 是性朋友. Okay, so to trust, and you can say be trustworthy of friends. Okay, or you can say be loyal to friends, right? So friends. Okay, friendship is one of the 5 cardinal relationships. Okay, and 性, you can say fidelity, trust is one of the 5 constant virtues. Right, so Zhenzi, right, one of Confucius' disciples, says, has 3 introspections, or you say self-reflections. Am I loyal in my dealings with others? Do I trust, and am I trustworthy to my friends? Do I practice what I've learned? Okay, so this is, friendship is important. Okay, so this is like, you can say, yeah, if we're looking at it in order, right? So parents are the most important, then you have teachers and elders, and then now you have friends. Okay. And so, yeah, they, sometimes, friendship is important, but again, we have to realize that, yeah, what's more important, right? So again, it's parents and also teachers and elders. But friends can also be very helpful to us in guiding us and helping us. All right. They can also maybe sometimes be honest, and they can tell us things that, we need to correct in ourselves. Okay. That sometimes that, we maybe the parents tell us, but we don't listen, but we might listen to our friends. Okay. So that, friends can also be very important. And, in that sense, also, we need to know to make the correct good friends. Okay, don't become friends with with bad people, bad character. All right, because then friends will definitely influence us, and so if we are friends with a bad bunch, we can also become bad as well. So that's not good. All right. Okay. Now then next you can say next in this hierarchy is then our neighbors. Okay, so this is kind of like going out this circle of closeness, how close we are to these people. So our neighbors is next. We have to be okay, so to be harmonious with our neighbors, right? There's a saying that says distant relatives that are not as close as the neighbors. Yeah, so even though we are closer to our relatives, but if they're so far away, half a world away, they can't really help us as much as our neighbors who are just next door. Okay, so it's good to be, we should be in good terms with our neighbors, help each other, right? That's being neighborly, right? So of course, we want to live in a nice, good neighborhood. It doesn't mean, a very upscale or rich neighborhood. That's not what we're talking about. Okay, just being, you don't want to be in a neighborhood where people are dealing drugs and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so that's what kind of more what we're talking about, about the character of that neighborhood, about the people there. Okay, so you have mutual assistance and cooperation. So this is very important. So this is kind of like, you can say, besides the those who are close to us, this is kind of going out into society. All right, and all right, so now we want to transform. Okay, so 改恶向善. Okay, to transform evil into good. Let me see, how many more do we have here? Boy, I think I'm going to, since these are basically, these are kind of straightforward. Of course, there's a lot of details that we can go into, but I think I'll skip the details basically. But basically, yeah, no one's perfect, and we need to transform ourselves, and not just ourselves, of course. Then we can help others to transform. Get rid of their, point out areas where they can improve themselves. Okay, and so, and also here it says, do not neglect to do a good deed just because it is trivial. And also, do not perform an evil deed just because it is minor. Okay, so again, every little good deed counts, whether it's good or bad, actually, good or evil, right? So don't don't think that just because it's very minor that we do it, we don't do it, depending on whether it's good or not. Okay, so just be careful there. So Holy Teacher says, it's good to improve from yesterday. It's evil or bad, I guess, to regress from yesterday. So we're sliding back, right? We're getting worse. But that's not good. All right, there's no progress. We need to make progress, improve. Okay, so here we get into this one here. It says, okay, to elucidate and understand the 5 cardinal relationships. Okay. Let me just kind of briefly say what those things are. 5 relationships, right, are relationship between parents and children. Well, literally, this is father and son, but parents and children, ruler and subject, husband and wife, between, normally we say siblings here, but it's actually between older and younger. Okay, that difference, that hierarchy, that order. Okay, and then among friends. Okay, so knowing, Confucius talks a lot about, how we should conduct ourselves in these relationships, okay, depending on what our role is in these relationships, okay? And then the 8 virtues are filial piety, brotherhood, loyalty, trust, propriety, righteousness, integrity, or honesty, and a sense of shame or honor, okay? Now, okay, I because of the time here, I'll just skip these things. We already mentioned that, basically all the religions, they have that original truth. It's just that maybe in practice over thousands of years, they kind of lost it or deviated from that. The 4 bonds of social conduct. Okay, so these are 4 of the second 4 of those 8 virtues. All right. The 3 cardinal guides of social order. Again, these are 3 of those 5 cardinal relationships. Okay, superior, subordinate. Changes. Okay, parent, child. All right, and then the 5 constant virtues. Okay, this is benevolence, righteousness, propriety, wisdom, fidelity, or sincerity. Okay, so this is at the core of our being, actually. All right, so we have to understand. So these are all, once we can understand and really practice according to these, then that's really all it takes. Okay, all right. So the next thing is to purify the mind, heart and mind, and wash away our anxieties, and to utilize the false forms, to cultivate the true self, and to restore oneself to its original natural state. Okay, so we need to purify. How do we do that? Again, getting rid of those desires and attachments, getting rid of that notion of duality, right? That differentiation, the discrimination, the judgment, all these things. Okay, we get rid of all those things. Then, we're gonna. That's how we purify ourselves. But we live in this world, right? We have false forms. Everything is, these forms. But we have to use it. But just make sure that we don't. We shouldn't overemphasize these forms. Okay, so the true, we want to emphasize what's true, which is our true nature, our spirit. You can say our spiritual nature, right? So then that's how we can restore ourselves to original state, right? Okay, so all right. Let me see. Okay, so then to manifest the highest compassion of one's conscience and virtue, right? To establish oneself and help others establish themselves to achieve and help others to achieve. Okay, so it's not just doing it ourselves. We, through our compassion, through our mercy, our conscience, manifesting our virtues, and we help ourselves and help others as well to achieve, to establish and achieve themselves. Okay, finally, to bring about peacefulness into the world, to transform human hearts into good, and bring about world unity and harmony. So that's, you can say that is that's how it can be achieved, right? Let me see. All right, so let me jump to the conclusion here. So the purpose of Dao is, it's a mission statement, you can say, by the holy teachers for us to fulfill Maitreya's vow, to create a pure land and to achieve Confucian ideal of world harmony. Basically, you can say it's sincere respect and love for all, which is the equanimity, and to achieve to achieve that harmony. The practical effect and goal is to bring peace to the world, to transform people's hearts into good, and to bring about world unity and harmony. Okay, so when that perfect order prevails, the world is like a home shared by all, right? When the Tao is practiced by all, the world is one, right? This harmonious community, right? And we do our best to achieve Tao of humanity and help others to achieve. So, and this all depends on us, the white era Tao cultivators, to fulfill this destiny. And so that really is the purpose of us cultivating the Tao. All right, I'm sorry, went over time here. Okay, so if I had said anything wrong or not satisfactory, I asked the Buddhists for forgiveness and also asked transmitting masters and lecturers for their corrections. Thank you. I wish to ask the Holy Teacher to transfer these merits to the global collective karma to help all sentient beings. Thanks.